Welcome, I'm Morris Spooki, here to read you another one of my spooky stories from my big book of the spooky. This spooky story is like a fridge freezer, fundamentally chilling. So frightening that when I first heard it, I fell off my chair and banged my shin on a little side table. I still have the scar. This week, vampires. For many years, people have believed in vampires. Bram Stoker believed in one so much, he made one up and wrote a book about it. But there have been other famous vampires through history: Nosferatu, Christopher Lee, and Count Dracula. But the vampire I'm going to tell you about is far worse than all of them. He's awful. Really awful. The whole story is awful. But I'm going to tell it anyway. It starts with a death. The funeral of Ian Cecil Watkins was not well attended. He had very few friends, and his family didn't like him. He was also quite dull as an individual. However, the manner in which Ian Cecil Watkins died raised more than a few eyebrows. It raised questions, such as, how did Ian Cecil Watkins die? You see, Ian had died in bed, but he'd been found with 2 round, fresh wounds in his neck, as if someone had attacked him with a hole punch, perhaps wishing to put Ian on display in some sort of massive ring binder. Whatever the motivation, on the death certificate, the puzzled coroner had just put a big question mark and a frowny face. Nobody knew that in fact Ian Cecil Watkins had fallen victim to a vampire. Yes, a vampire. That's why he had the neck holes thing. And now, because he'd been bitten by a vampire, Ian was going to become a vampire himself. Because apparently that's how it works. Although, not always. Depends very much on which film you're watching. It's annoyingly inconsistent. By the by, Ian's carcass was now inside a coffin, and even as his funeral was going on, some spooky changes were happening. Ian's teeth were getting longer. His fingernails were becoming more pointy, and he'd stopped liking garlic. He'd even started to have some vampirish thoughts. Soon, thought the vampire Ian, soon I will rise from this coffin, make myself a cape out of a bin bag, and go out and bite someone. I might even turn into a bat, because I can do that now. I'm going to be a real nuisance. Through the sides and the lid of his coffin, Ian could hear the sounds of his funeral proceeding. His favourite song had started, so they must be somewhere near the end. He could hear the locomotion by Kylie. I can't really call myself Ian anymore, thought Ian, no longer Ian. I'd better come up with a new vampire-y name, like Dracula, or Vlad, or Bela Lugosi. A name which will strike fear into everyone who hears it. It's also got to be a bit Victorian / Eastern European. I know, I'll call myself Count Granola. The locomotion finished outside the coffin, and Count Granola pressed his undead head against the lid of his coffin. There was a lot of shuffling going on outside. His front teeth were now very, very, very long, and would have led to a debilitatingly epic lisp. Any moment now, he would rise up and hunt through the night for a victim to bother. But this was when his plan became unstuck, because the body of Ian Cecil Watkins was cremated. In conclusion, Count Granola just got burnt up and then scattered by a stranger in a wood somewhere near the Creme. The police also found the other vampire that had bitten him originally. They tasered it and cut its head off. And that was that. Join me again for another spooky story from my big book of the spooky. Sleep well, and don't, just don't go away.